the weather forecast with Coloca and its multipurpose banquet hall, Il Palazzo.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and good to have you again on the weather forecast. Hope you're having a fun-filled weekend. Between tonight and tomorrow morning, the weather will be calm in most parts of the country with temperatures as low as 14 degrees. We're talking about the northwest, west, and the far north regions, and then temperatures as low as 17 degrees in the north and the east regions, with the center and south regions having temperatures as low as 19 degrees. Next, we go over to the Adamawa region, where tonight we have a no chance of precipitation in the region, and the same experience by morning, with Tikne having the least temperature at 16 degrees. We go next to the southwest region, where tonight we have a no chance of rainfall in the region, and by morning, Bangem and Menji will have a least temperature at 13 degrees. And then we go to the littoral region, where tonight we have a no chance of rainfall in the region, and by morning it would be the same experience, with Kongsamba having the least temperature at 18 degrees. I encourage you to make out time and go have fun at the Dea Monkey Highlands.
President Paul Biya stresses on solidarity amongst nations during the exchange of New Year wishes at the Unity Palace. In tonight's newscast, we go beyond the handshakes to underline the benefits of building stronger cooperation ties. LACAM officials meet in their 5th ordinary session as of right amidst logistics preparations for the 2020 February elections, with the assurance that materials will be ready on time. In our top 20 challenges for the year 2020, renovating the public service sector is at the center of debates as Cameroon soon plays host to the first ever national forum on the modernization of the public service. Tonight, we take a look at these challenges, notably the need to update the ministry's online system. And these are the headlines. Good evening, I'm Gladys Tata, and this is the 7:30 News. The head of state's message to the diplomatic corps during the New Year wishes ceremony stressed on the need for solidarity to promote development amongst nations. He added that cooperation will be only beneficial if the needs of developing countries are considered and assistance made available. Clarice Are-Takank comes back with highlights of the message in the following report.
Solidarity a must, as developing nations need financial assistance to build road, railway, port, energy and industrial infrastructure for their development. It is on this basis that the head of state, Paul Biya, described the economic relationship which should exist between states. This becomes even more crucial due to heightened tensions between major trade giants. The message to the diplomatic corps highlighted Cameroon's emergence goal remains on track, despite pitfalls on the domestic, sub-regional and global scenes, he maintained. A reminder that the 2020-2030 National Development Strategy is the roadmap to serve as guide for government action. The input of development partners will be a positive contributing factor in order to attain the objectives defined. Furthermore, the coming into force of the African Continental Free Trade Area is a rallying call for obstacles to intra-African trade to become history. The prospects for business being salutary, focus should be on ensuring that no nation is left behind in the quest for sustainable and inclusive economic growth. An agenda the head of state believes should drive cooperation between Cameroon and her development partners in 2020.
Cameroon's First Lady, Mrs. Chantal Biya, received New Year wishes yesterday from wives of members of the diplomatic corps and spouses of state dignitaries. This was during a colorful ceremony at the Unity Palace, full of conviviality and camaraderie. Staff Lady Enanga Kebi has details of that ceremony.
Inviting close to 1,500 women to the Unity Palace, including friends, artists, and family members of the presidential family, for the traditional New Year wishes ceremony was like celebrating women. Women considered the custodians of peace. The come together was very significant. A significant moment for the First Lady to meet some of the delegations which she has been promoting and extending assistance. Most of the women were overwhelmed to feel and experience the warmth and hospitality of the First Lady, an occasion that did not leave the members of the diplomatic corps indifferent. And for the very first time in the history of the presentation of New Year wishes, the women of the Diplomatic Corps came with a special message of acknowledgement to the First Lady.
May I seize the opportunity during this ceremony of the presentation of New Year wishes to congratulate and encourage you for all that you do for Cameroonian women, destitute children, and the vulnerable population.
After the series of handshakes with the women and photo sessions, Mrs. Chantal Biya demonstrated once more her human nature by serving them with snacks and cookies. Also, each woman received a symbolic gift from the First Lady. Next in line were the members of the National Constituted Corps, grouped under 27 delegations. The ritual of handshakes kicked off with Mrs. Tabetando heading the delegation of the spouses of the Bureau of the Senate. This was followed by Mrs. Fadimatu Kabai at the head of the spouses of the Bureau of the National Assembly, Micheline Ayang leading the women of the Bureau of the Economic and Social Council. Then came the turn of Dr. Grace Dion Gute, spouse of the Prime Minister, at the head of the spouses of cabinet members. From this delegation came Madame Helene Atangana with the spouses of the members of the Constitutional Council. Next in line was Mrs. Anne Jodo with the delegation of the women of the Supreme Court. Constance Owona was at the head of the spouses of the members of the Central Committee of the CPDM. This was followed by Mrs. Yawo Aisatu, President of the National Bureau of the Women's Wing of the CPDM, with the Bureau members. Here, the big delegation of women were happy to meet their honorary President, Mrs. Chantal Biya. From the CPDM came the turn of Honorable Emilia Monjowa Lifaka, Vice President at the National Assembly, heading the delegation of female parliamentarians, while Mrs. Genevieve Choues was leading the delegation of female senators. Mrs. Soso led the delegation of the wives of the rectors of the universities of Yaoundé 1 and 2. Mrs. Nasiri Elmin, spouse of the governor of the Central Region, was at the head of a big delegation comprising the spouses of administrative and traditional authorities of the Central Region. The 13th delegation, with Mrs. Demanu Tepanu, comprised female mayors. This delegation was followed by Mrs. Betty Asomo Ren Felicite with the spouses of the Central Administration of the Ministry of Defense. From the Defense Ministry came Mrs. Mecca with the spouses of the Army Chief Officers. Next in line, still with the Defense Force, was Mrs. Semenge leading the spouses of retired Army Generals. Mrs. Natalie Modiki was at the head of the spouses of the general managers of state corporations and parastatals, while Mrs. Celine Gongo led the delegation of the spouses of the top administrators of the General Secretariat of the Presidency of the Republic. A big delegation, knowing how much the husbands of these women assist the head of state in important decision-taking processes. Coming up for the second time was Dr. Grace Dion Gute, the new General Coordinator of SERAC, at the head of the delegation of SERAC women. From SERAC to the Chantal Biya Foundation with Mrs. Abisu Bidung, the Secretary General, leading a big delegation, including the members of CRASE, notably Professor Jean-Marie Cassia, Professor Fuda of the Central Hospital, and some of their staff. Mr. Jean-Stepan Biacha, the Executive Secretary of African Synergy, came up with members of his Executive Secretariat. Mrs. Ndi, spouse of the President of the Confederation of Syndicates, headed the spouses of the Confederation of the different syndicates. Clementine Sono came up with a big delegation of the heads of non-governmental organizations drawn from all the regions of the country, while Mrs. Agnes Ntube Ndode Njok was leading the delegation of female entrepreneurs. The association has always received financial support from the First Lady, especially during their international trips for conferences and exhibitions. From female entrepreneurs to female journalists, with Marie-Claire Nana, the general manager of Sopecam, at the head. Here, Mrs. Chantal Biya was pleased to meet female journalists, especially those she is familiar with on the screen across the media landscape, be it of the public or private media. The delegation of female journalists was followed by the delegation of special invitees, with Patricia and Jongo leading. Here we had family members and friends of the presidential family, a big delegation and one full of the expression of warmth and conviviality, as the First Lady was happy to meet her aunties and uncles from Nanga Eboko and her in-laws from Vomeka. Also included in this delegation were artists and a host of guests. Last but not the least was the delegation of the Baka Pygmies and the Bororos, led by Mrs. Ngel Elea. At the end of the handshakes with this last delegation, one could rightly say Mrs. Chantal Biya has opened the doors of the Unity Palace to all categories of women in society, making it the People's Palace where everyone feels free and at home.
And away from Unity Palace, the chairperson of the Electoral Board of Elekam says the conditions have been met for successful elections to be organized on February 9, 2020. Eno Abrams Egbe was speaking yesterday in Yaoundé while presiding over the 5th session as of right of the Electoral Board of Elekam. Ebenezer Kanga has details of the meeting in the following report.
The guided tour began at the 101 Air Force Base in Yaoundé, which is hosting the logistics base of Elekam for the elections. All electoral materials and documents are stocked, packaged, and dispatched to the field from the logistics base. The chairperson of the Electoral Board of Elekam and the board members ask questions to be sure that there is no mix-up in the packaging or dispatching of the electoral materials and documents. The last stop was at another printing press where Elekam placed a command of about 15 million campaign and ballot papers of 9 political parties for the legislative and municipal elections. Here too, the job is at its finishing stage.
We have less than 28 days to go for the elections. We can confidently say now that, loud and clear, elections will effectively take place on the 9th of February, and all the polling stations will be furnished with all the relevant materials.
After the guided tour, the members of the Electoral Board of Elekam met in their 5th session as of right. Holding 1 month to the elections, the session was to conduct a face-by-face reassessment of the level of preparations. To the chairperson of the Electoral Board of Elekam, the conditions have been met for successful elections to be organized come February 9, 2020.
As you just heard in the report there, the president of the Electoral Board of Elections Cameroon, Eno Abrams Egbe, has undertaken a guided tour of the logistics base and some printing houses that was yesterday, Friday, to evaluate the level of production of election material for the February 9 twin elections. At the National Printing Press, the Elekam delegation was told that up to 350 envelopes are produced per minute and the 9 million production target will be respected. Meantime, a promotional sales is one of the Cameroon's luxury shops, Chic's Design, based in the Bastos neighborhood in Yaoundé, and is currently going on. Customers of all walks of life are enjoying the class and uniqueness of the furniture and a wide range of items perfect for interior decor offered in the shop. Esther Kima is standing by. Hi, Esther.
Hello and welcome to Chic Design, one of the luxury shops in the nation's capital, Yaoundé. Today it is organizing promotional sales 2 years after its inauguration. It is exhibiting furniture that is made of class and quality, and about 200 of its customers are now savoring and purchasing furniture, accessories and lighting made of the finest fabric like silk, velvet, with an array of colors. The contemporary, classy and crisp interior decor meets the demands of the customers. The extensive collection of hand-carved furniture from international designers like the British-born Christopher Gay dazzles quite a handful, as well as the back cushions and throw pillows with a softer and more luxurious appearance and feel.
They are not just beautiful, but they are durable and things which are very special at an affordable price.
When you get in, you have all type of product, all type of prices, and the quality is there.
The decorative mirrors designed with beveled glass, the coffee tables made of monogram silver, the lighting and the lamps with decorative detailing from A-Shots, the fervent antique collector, and the crystal glasses are amongst the favorite picks.
When you compare the prices in Europe, transportation and all, I think the things are really, really nice and comparatively affordable.
The vases and wide range of flowers coupled with breathtaking hearts for women of substance also attracted many. Gladys, you may be tempted to think that chic design is reserved for the privileged, but that is not true. If you've been working hard throughout the year and you want to give your home a beautiful makeover made up of class and uniqueness, then why not try chic design in Bastos Yaoundé, from where I sign off, Esther Kima.
Esther Kima, I think I'll make a stop by there and see what I can get for myself. Thank you very much. A security meeting to assess the level of preparedness ahead of the February 2020 municipal and legislative elections has taken place in the Northwest Regional Capital, Bamenda, under the auspices of Governor Adolphe Lele-Lafrique. He told administrative and security officials that their role is to assist Elections Cameroon to successfully organize the elections in the region while ensuring the safety of the electorates. Mercy Kosi reports from CRTV Northwest in Bamenda.
Items feature on the agenda of this security and coordination meeting of the Northwest region, chaired by Governor Adolphe Lele-Lafrique and attended by all 7 senior divisional officers of the region, alongside security officials and the Elekam regional boss. First, they had to assess and discuss the security situation in the region, as well as the level of preparedness of the council and parliamentary elections to take place in February 2020.
The administrative authorities, the police forces are there only to accompany them in that process. We are going, therefore, to ask to the grassroots authority administrative that are here to update us on the step already taken at their various levels to prepare those elections.
Northwest Governor applauded the traditional rulers who've returned to their villages while assuring the region of government's determination to protect the people of the region.
Construction works along the Mokolo stretch, Kameni roundabouts and the roads along the Kolmeseng neighborhoods in Yaoundé have been launched today by the Minister of Housing and Urban Development. During an inspection tour with the mayors of the councils concerned, Minister Celestin Kechakute spoke with the population to guarantee commencement of works this January, which should decongest traffic. Cynthia Saptala accompanied the minister on this tour and now reports.
These are the roads in Yaoundé concerned by constructions launched this Saturday by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development. The Lissouk roundabout to Mokolo Market, the lane from the Chapelle Obili roundabout passing through the Kameni neighborhood, the road from Angissa to the Cornier roundabout, the stretch besides Government Bilingual High School Essos, and that of the Hotel Le Plateau roundabouts leading to Total Mimboman. The state of the roads, described by inhabitants and users as deplorable, have greatly contributed in the high traffic density on some lanes and the dust on others.
Look at the way we are, and there's traffic all over. You cannot even wash and walking free. You find yourself dirty. So I'm very happy for what the president is doing.
During the tour with the mayors of the councils concerned with the project, the minister spoke with contractors and reassured the population on site that works are effectively beginning. Concerning the Kolmeseng Road, Minister Kecha said a sum of 12 billion CFA francs has been allocated for works to start in June.
We'll have a wonderful, modern road in Kolmeseng, and we'll have electricity. It will be the most beautiful road of Yaoundé. But to have this road, you need to organize, you need to finalize with studies. We did all the procedure.
The new and urgent facelift of roads in the capital city is in view of the different international football competitions hosted by Cameroon this year.
And the Minister of Housing and Urban Development will continue her tour to the littoral and the southwest regions. More than 1 billion CFA francs has been generated by the delegate management team at the post of Bonaberi Douala 10 days after taking over the operations at the container terminal. This amount was raised after installing the computer system, which has enabled RTC management to move from handling 400 containers manually to 4,000 containers per day. Sally Ebenenyoki visited the container terminal to size up its activities, and here's our report.
Since January 1, 2020, the container terminal of the Douala Seaport has been handed over to the structure known as the Container Terminal Management, run by Cameroonians. The National Syndicate of Shipping Agents, Transporters, Stevedores, and Consignees, known by its French acronym as Sintrac, believe that it is a wise decision taken by the President of the Republic in a sector as strategic as the port. This justifies their thank you manifestation expressed through the sports walk that began at the Sandaga roundabout.
Cameroonians are able, Cameroonians are competent. So the decree, the January decree, give this occasion to Cameroonian dockers to put their experience to the service of the port of Douala.
The leaders of the trade union underscore that such an initiative is synonymous to taking over the economic sovereignty of the country. Workers in the likes of dockers, whose job constitute in loading and offloading ships, expect the new dispensation to put an end to their plight of delay payments, amongst others. The trade union handed over a motion of support to the divisional officer for Douala 1 for onward transmission to President Paul Biya.
Well, that was a report by Abubakar Abo from Douala reporting. Created in 2018, the National Parents Teachers Association of Secondary Schools in Cameroon has met today at the Yaoundé Conference Center for its second General Assembly. Top on the agenda was drafting strategies to help improve on the performance of students in schools. Yoti Kaleli Songe reveals some of their preoccupations.
Students who are sometimes victims to drug abuse, violence in school, as well as peer pressure, have prompted these great minds to brainstorm on solutions here at the General Assembly of the National Parents Teachers Association of Secondary Schools.
We want to join our energy together to have the same vision of our action, to do the same thing everywhere we are. We want also to put our effort against AIDS, children's being disturbing anywhere from school or in the quarters, to have children be disciplined.
The participants have also been enlightened on the laws governing PTAs for a better understanding of the body, which has one main objective:
to have a good position to learn what they have to learn in the schools.
It is therefore left on the students to merge the knowledge acquired in school with the counsel from their parents to succeed.
Over in the Northwest region, the government has partnered with some Cameroonians based in Congo-Brazzaville in donating learning materials and money to 155 IDPs attending schools in Bamenda. Northwest Governor Adolphe Lely-Lafrique, while chairing the ceremony, told the pupils and students to use the material judiciously. Winston Lebka is a man on the beat from CRTV Northwest in Bamenda.
These books, writing materials and school bags are donations from Cameroon's Ministry of Secondary Education, and these internally displaced students and pupils, now resident in Bamenda, have also received money from an association of Congo-based Cameroonians called Cameroon Platinum Congo, courtesy of Yaoundé's ambassador to Brazzaville, who put together a sum of 1,500,000 CFA francs as financial aid, which will help the students pay their examination fees.
This gesture of today is in continuity of what have been done following the instruction of the head of state, who have decided and mobilized the entire nation to assist the displaced person in our country and even those that are abroad.
The pupils and students have many problems, some of which they now consider as solved.
I take like a book and I'll need to use that book to copy like 3 subjects there. So I think that, and I know that the books that they've given me will help me a lot.
They have big dreams and hope to fly the flag for Cameroonian brilliance on the world stage.
Primary and secondary school pupils and students have already begun classes for the second term. A second term which pedagogues say is short, decisive with many out-of-classroom activities, compelling school officials to adjust their school programs, while learners need to exercise concentration to increase their chances of promotion to the next level. In the following write-up, our reporter Beatrice Ngom presents the particularities and challenges of the second term.
Conceived to improve teaching standards in Cameroonian schools, such was the goal behind the new pedagogic approach. The new curriculum warrants that a teacher should first of all understand the students' limitations to be able to address them. But since inception, it's been confronted to a number of difficulties.
The people were not trained to do it. You see, it is the place of the government or the ministry to organize empowerment workshops and pick out resource persons from there so that when they organize pedagogic seminars for the teachers, they can also bring these people to act like facilitators.
The change of teaching procedures for teachers was abrupt, officials of the Ministry of Basic Education admit.
We send curricula on the fields, and then teachers give us a feedback. With that feedback, we elaborate training models. This year, we are going to train teachers for nursery and level 1.
Although this new approach to pedagogy is progressively being implemented, pedagogues are upbeat its implementation will breed pupils and students who can
produce the basic body lotions, savon, and many other things. So the competence-based approach is the best.
This child-centered pedagogy, therefore, helps the learners develop a critical thinking mind and enables them actively participate during lessons.
The Yaoundé City Council will play host to the first National Forum on the Modernization of Public Service in Cameroon as from Monday, January 13th to 15, 2020. The event, under the distinguished patronage of President Paul Biya, is an initiative of the Ministry of Public Service and Administrative Reform on the theme, The Modernization of Public Service in Cameroon, Stakes, Challenges and the Way Forward. Ahead of the event, our reporter Emanuela Vemio examines the challenges of modernizing public service in Cameroon.
Civil servants in Cameroon have a story or two to tell about how tedious it has been for them to get updates on the management of their careers. The Ministry of Public Service and Administrative Reform, in charge of managing state personnel, is stepping up its game in 2020 by replacing stumbling blocks with stepping stones.
The head of state said we must modernize.
and simplify procedures in our administration and see what can be done, not only here in our ministry, but in all the administrations. That's why we called other administrations to come and sit down with us to see what we have been doing and what we can now do together to implement those instructions.
The challenges of modernizing public administrations in Cameroon go as far as renewing the whole online system currently in use to building more infrastructure and new applications, and the list is far from over. When experts in the domain meet at the Yaoundé City Council from the 13th to the 15th of January 2020 in the National Colloquium, it will be to evaluate how far the move can go, the challenges and the way forward. More so, the need to be efficient by upgrading staff savoir-faire in the domain, getting new softwares that work better will also be on the table. They envisage to render Cameroonian public administrations paperless by 2021.
Our ICT moment today takes us back to the multifunctional biometric student visa card that the over 70,000 students of the University of Yaoundé 1 have at their disposal. Today we focus on the advantages of the visa card, which our reporter Yoti Kaleli Songe now presents to us.
An identity card, wallet and library, all functions of this biometric student visa card.
So the students can have all the academic information through the card. In terms of bank features, the student is able to load his card, perform a card-to-card transfer. Also, the student can withdraw funds with the cards anywhere in the world.
To get a student's academic history, it suffices to have a smartphone, download the quick response scanner, and then scan the barcode, after which you have this.
You can also use a card to pay online. You can shop online, you can shop in store, any store in the country or anywhere in the world, free of charge. For any transaction performed by the student is receiving automatically an SMS which is free of charge. The card is also coming with a special session, an online session, which is allow him to monitor all the transactions of the card, have the balance of the card, transaction history, and also perform card-to-card transfer.
An innovation which comes to make learning easier in the academic milieu, as well as facilitate the students' integration in an ICT-driven society.
Students of the International Institute for Computer Sciences and Technology, IAI, have been encouraged to take their studies seriously because it is only through education that they can transform themselves into useful persons in the society. The call was made by the African Union Commissioner for Human Resources, Science and Technology, Professor Saram Eno Anyang. This was during a working visit at the Institute at Nka Anak on the outskirts of Yaoundé. Clarence Nge reports.
Education is the greatest weapon that can transform the world. Quoting former leader Nelson Mandela, this was the message of the African Union Commissioner for Human Resources, Science and Technology to the students of ERE Friday in Yaoundé. Professor Sarambi Enoagbo, on a walking visit to the institution, encouraged the learners to take their studies seriously because it is only through education that they can become useful persons in the society.
I've brought a message of hope and goodwill to tell them, take your book seriously, because it is only through education that you can transform yourself. You need to transform yourself to be able to transform the world. It is Nelson Mandela who says that education is the greatest weapon that can transform the world.
The director of ERE, Amanklu Banda, thanked his august guest and expressed his desire to always work in close collaboration with the African Union Commissioner for ERE to always stand tall in the sub-region. The visit also saw the signing of a convention between ERE and a computer training center in Limbe in the southwest region to train students of the center on information and communication technologies.
Since 2013, Cameroon has been reflecting on strategies of protecting and maintaining the protected areas. During an evaluation meeting in Yaoundé yesterday, the Minister of Forestry and Wildlife, Jules Dorendongo, alongside experts, assessed the situation and perspectives of a better protection of these natural species in Cameroon. Victor Siga has the account of the meeting.
Climate change has made it compelling to protect the environment and human beings, as well as conserve biodiversity. This explains why the Ministry of Forestry and Wildlife has been multiplying subsector strategies in order to have exact inventory of the various species.
The implementation of our strategy concerning the subsector of forestry and wildlife. We wanted also to appreciate what can be our contribution to the global rural sector.
During the evaluation meeting, which brought together experts around the Minister of Forestry and Wildlife, several solutions were proposed.
We need to work in collaboration with others when making decisions concerning the forest and wildlife sector. That is, with the foresters, the different ministries, and the population implicated.
Whatever the case, protected areas play an important role in helping the populations and these species to easily adapt to the climatic situations.
Twilight of Misty Foliage is our book of the week. This African novel, authored by Ben Jama in 228 pages, narrates life in the fictitious Republic of Wanetemu. In 14 chapters, the story of Baiman, the popular drunk, Mpechune, the cleric, and Don Castro, the colonial exploiters, and more, serves the reader with doses of intrigues and suspense. Emanuela Vermier read the novel for the 7:30 News.
Twilight of Misty Foliage opens with Beeman, the loudest drunk of the village, who passes for the most socially upright person and knows most, if not all, the secrets of the imaginary Republic of Wanetemu. The reader is served in Chapter 2 with tales and misdeeds of a yippie, the village playboy who plays on the naivety of women to sexually exploit them. This before Mpechune, the cleric, is born at a time of immorality in his household by an officer of the law. This chapter portrays the intimidation and manipulation of the populace by those who whisk power, the law, and the church. The suspense, intrigues, and more characterize the 228-page novel, divided into 14 chapters, authored by Ben Jama. Whether the chapter on Fee and the Bees to Don Castro, the colonial exploiter from Ponland, and the law on Fee, Jeng Afi and Singh, the reader's attention is captured. The author, Ben Jama, uses well-crafted words to narrate the stories, a language which may appear difficult for an average English-speaking reader. Currently head of service for administration and personnel in the Faculty of Education, University of Bamenda, the author, Ben Jama, honors his lone surviving uncle with the pen name Ben Jama. Twilight of the Misty Foliage is the second novel to be published by the author. After, as I move on, I drop on.
And let's talk sports. With barely one game to go to the end of the first round of the domestic championship, Cotton Sport of Garoua are the honorary champions with 34 points, scoring 30 goals and conceding 13. Our North Regional correspondent Wilson Mengole talked to some of the officials of the club to get the secret behind the team's success and sent in this report.
Cotton Sport of Garoua is stamping its authority as the kingpin in the domestic front, as the club is already crowned honorary champions with 34 points before the end of the first round of the championship.
We make a commission for recruitment of players, and this commission make a good job, and we have selected the good players to accompany Cotton Sport.
According to the club's president, the absence of key players in the squad in preparation for the CHAN won't affect the team.
It is not a problem for Cotton Sport because we have 33 players. All of them have the level of the team. It's not a problem for the club. But I think that it is the occasion, the technical team, to make the turnover of the players, because we have 33 players.
The club has equally put up a strategy to double trophies this season and to be a force to reckon with. at the continental front. The objective of Kotonspor of Kara this season is to break its 2007 record, where they arrived the final phase of the CAF Champions League.
Well, that's the package we put together for you on the 7:30 news. Thanks for watching. The 8:30 newscast comes up with Atabadine Umar Onanko. Join me tomorrow, same time on set. Good night and bye for now.